Okay, if you are in Math 7, we are working from the Advanced 2 textbook. If you are in Math 8, we are working from the Course 3 textbook. We are doing lesson 3.1, Parallel Lines and Transversals, and it can be found on pages 104 and 105. So let's do just a quick review. When you see this little box, it means that that angle is 90 degrees or a right angle. Okay. When we have lines that look like this and have this little extra arrow like that, that means that the lines are parallel. They will never cross. And then what we've been doing for the past couple of days we know that angles that are across from each other like this are called vertical angles. And we know that they are congruent. And we also know that when we've got two angles on a straight line, that these are called supplementary angles. And on a straight line, they're equal to 180 degrees. Supplementary angles are two angles when put together equal 180 degrees. We're going to need this. We're going to need to remember this. Okay. Now, we're going to be doing something a little bit different today. We have parallel lines, and we have a line going through it. This is called a transversal. So when we see something like this is called parallel lines with a transversal. Parallel lines with a transversal. And I want to show you something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's color code this. And let's color code this so that we can talk about yellow and pink. It makes life a little bit easier. Okay, I'm going to show you something. This right here is what we've been working with. Like this. We have vertical angles that are congruent. We know that we have supplementary angles that equal 180 degrees. This is what we've been working with for the past 2 days. I want to show you something. If I trace this, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've traced this, and let's watch. If I slide it down and place it over the pink, holy smokes. Let's see, do you see that? The yellow is congruent to the pink. So this whole yellow figure right here is congruent or the same as the pink. And we have corresponding angles. Angle 1 corresponds with angle 5. They're congruent. Angle 2 corresponds to angle 6. They're congruent. Angle 3 corresponds with angle 7. They're congruent. And angle 4 corresponds with angle 8. They are congruent. So looking at that, we can say angles 1, 2, and 3, and 4, the yellow, this is all the yellow, it is congruent to angles 5, 6, 7, and 8, the pink. So this is congruent to this, and our angles are corresponding. Okay, so this corresponds to this and is congruent. The yellow corresponds to the pink, and the yellow is congruent to the pink. Well, that's nice. But how does that help us? What are we doing with that? Well, let's take what we've been doing for the past few days and apply it. So we've got these are parallel lines, and we have a transversal. And we're telling you that this is 63 degrees, and we want to know what is the measure of angle 1 and angle 2. So we have parallel lines with a transversal. This is 63 degrees. Can we figure out what angle 1 and angle 2 are? Well, let's take a look. Put this down here. I have this, and this is 63 degrees, right? If I slide this parallel line on top of this parallel line, holy smokes, look at that. 63 degrees here, 63 degrees here. Oh, angle 1 corresponds and is congruent to the given angle. Therefore, angle 1 is equal to 63 degrees. So these two angles correspond to each other, which we just showed you. This angle corresponds to 1. The given angle corresponds to 1. Therefore, angle 1 is equal to 63 degrees. Now, we're going to use the idea of supplementary angles. So angle 2 and angle 1 are supplementary. That means angle 2 plus angle 1 are equal to 180 degrees. So angle 2 plus 63 degrees equals 180. And now this is basic algebra. Angle 2 is equal to 100, let's see, that's 63 degrees, 7, 10, 7. Angle 2 is equal to 117 degrees. So we used the idea of corresponding angles to figure out number 1. Then we use the idea of supplementary angles to figure out number 2. Okay, that's all fine and dandy. How about if we do another problem? The book is going to give us a set of parallel lines that look like this with a transversal that looks like this. They're going to tell us that this is 75 degrees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. With this information, so I'm going to highlight our given angle just so it's easier to see. With this information, can we figure out the measurement of angles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7? Yes, we can. I'm going to stick with what I know first. This is what I've been working with for 2 days, right? So I'm going to stick with what I know first. So I know angle 2 is vertical and congruent to 75 degrees. So angle 2 is vertical and congruent to 75 degrees. These are vertical congruent angles. Therefore, angle 2 is equal to 75 degrees. Okay? Now, I'm going to use the idea of supplementary angles. Angle 1 and the given angle, 75 degrees, are supplementary. So that means angle 1 plus 75 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. Okay, so let's subtract 75. Angle 1 is equal to 105 degrees. Okay, well, if angle 1 is 105 degrees, angle 3 is vertical and congruent to angle 1. Therefore, angle 3 is equal to 105 degrees. Now, using that whole idea of corresponding angles, this whole thing is pink. So I have my line here. There's my transversal. This is 105 degrees, 75 degrees, 105 degrees, 75 degrees. I'm going to take this and slide it right here and look at my corresponding angles. Corresponding. Okay. Angle 4 corresponds to angle 1. So angle 4 is equal to 105 degrees. Angle 7 corresponds to the given, Therefore, angle 7 is equal to 75 degrees. Angle 5 corresponds to angle 2. Therefore, angle 5 is equal to 75 degrees. And angle 6 corresponds to angle 3. Therefore, angle 6 is equal to 105 degrees. So I worked with this first one here, because this is what we've been working with for 2 days. I use the idea of vertical angles and supplementary angles, because this is what we've been doing for the past 2 days. And once that was figured out, I can take this whole thing and slide it over here because this is congruent to this. Then I can use the idea of corresponding angles to figure out my missing measurements. So that is what we are doing today. There is a little bit of vocabulary I would like to do with you real quick. It's not very painful. Our parallel lines with our transversal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I want you to take a look in between the parallel lines. This is the river in between the parallel lines. So angles 4, angle 3, angle 5, and angle 6 are interior angles. They're the ones that are in the river between the parallel lines. Angles 1, 2, 8, and 7 are exterior angles. They're on the outside, they're on the shore. And 1, 3, 5, and 7, angles 1, 3, 5, and 7 are all congruent. And then angles 2, 4, 6, and 8 are all congruent. Okay, so that's what we're doing today. We are taking what we've done for the past couple of days. We've been working with this, vertical angles and supplementary angles, and we are now applying it to parallel lines with the transversal. So we're just taking this right here and duplicating it so that we have a congruent figure. Okay.